Sakyamuni Buddha, speaking on the Surangama Sutra, in one statement is the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Today we will talk about the body and tomorrow the mind. But actually can be done in one statement, that all this eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind are illusory, false, empty. Illusory, which means created by deluded thoughts. That the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, they are all empty. They're all created by deluded thoughts. Let's, before we read the Sutra text, because the sutra that's spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha here is very long-winded and wordy. He wanted to explain it in detail so everyone understands, but Grandmaster would explain it very simply. Body has a sensory nature, like the eyes have the seeing nature, the ears have the hearing nature, the nose has the smelling nature, and the tongue has the tasting nature. The body has the touching or sensory nature. But none of this is inherent or self-nature. What is self-nature? For example, when I perform Homa, I would take the peacock feather and write a few words and then sweep it. With the first sweep, it's to purify. With the second sweep, purifying self-nature. With the third sweep, purifying all self-natures. What is self-nature? Actually, self-nature is buddhanature, and that is the wondrous, luminous, true mind. So, during Homa, the characters Grandmaster wrote is purify self-nature, purify all self-natures with 3 sweeps. That represents that Buddha nature is purified, your own Buddha nature and the Buddha nature of sentient beings are all purified. That's what it meant. Sakyamuni Buddha spoke on the Surangama Sutra. Primarily, he talks about Buddha nature and the wondrous, luminous, true mind. It is non-arising and non-ceasing. It's unspeakable. It has the sensory nature, but that is not Buddha nature, nor wondrous, luminous, true mind. That's the key point. So Sakyamuni Buddha is making another analogy. Suppose a person touches a warm hand with a cold hand. If the cold is stronger, the warmth will yield to the cold. If the heat is stronger, the cold will become warm. In this way, the sensation of contact arising from their union reveals the awareness of separation. The interaction of their energies manifests due to the friction of movement. Both the body and the strain are manifestations of bodhi appearing as the state of strain. Because of the false dust of separation and union, sensation arises in between them. It absorbs this dust-like appearances, and this is called the faculty of touch. This perceiving entity has no substantial nature apart from those dual attributes of separation, union, and aversion, attraction. Thus, Ananda, you should understand that this perception does not come from separation or union, nor does it arise from aversion or attraction. It does not originate from the touch or sensory faculty, nor does it emerge from emptiness. Why? If it came from union, it should vanish during separation. Then how could one perceive separation? The same applies to aversion and attraction. If it arose from the body, then there should be no states of separation, union, opposition, or aversion or attraction, which means that the body's awareness has no inherent nature of its own. If it came from emptiness, then emptiness itself would be aware. What connection would that have with your sense faculty or touch faculty. So this is very easy to explain. Sakyamuni Buddha uses this time. As I walked out, a little child held my hand, and this other hand held a big lady. Which school are you studying in? Toronto University. Are you studying for master or PhD? I shouldn't ask how old you are then. I have held her hand when she was little. She came here, hold your hand, right? Holding your hand in the soft rain. Holding your hand, we are not afraid of any suffering. Holding your hand, we walk our path. Holding your hand, hold my hand. Miss the soft showers, soft drizzles. Holding my hand, we take a walk. And we walk on our path. We are not afraid of any hardships. Although on the way there are rains and winds, and perhaps we suffer greatly. But I am willing to walk the path to the end. And hand in hand, we walk our path. That's not sung by me, but it's said by Sakyamuni Buddha. What did Sakyamuni Buddha say? If someone held with his warm hand, held a cold hand, if you feel cold, then the cold is stronger and the warmth is weaker. If you feel warm, then your hand is weaker than the warm hand. So that's analogy. So that's the nature of touch. But that's not Buddha nature, because the nature of touch is temporary, short-lived. Like when I was little, holding hand, it felt very intimate, very close. And then when not holding hand, I felt empty. There is a contact sensation when you hold hands. As soon as you touch someone's hands, you can feel if the other person's hand is warm or cold. As I was walking out, a little kid held my hand, and in reality there is a sense of contact or touch. When I was in school, my scores were bad and often beaten by the rattan rod. That's very painful. On the palms and at the back of the hands would be even more painful. So that's the touch, the faculty of touch. So when you feel the pain, that's the faculty of touch. So during our time, that's the education through beating and scolding. And sometimes you lay on your stomach and beaten on the behind. And knowing that, I would put some rags on my pants, and then they felt it, boom, boom, and then took out those rags from under the pants. A teacher with family just like to beat students, and then one day he brought a young trainee teacher to our class. The resident teacher was beating, but this trainee teacher stopped the beating, and her name I wrote to be Yu Gui, teacher Yu Gui, from Pingtung, who lived in Senglili. Her look, oh heavens, it's as beautiful as this Rasilamo on my chest. She's very beautiful, very beautiful. S-shape, slim and graceful, wearing the teacher uniform. She's a trainee teacher, so she would listen to the teacher giving a class, but when the resident teacher is absent, then she would teach. So I found her hands, her eyes were like diamonds, and her face very graceful, and elegant. The figure was wonderful. She's very delicate, and but just looking at her, you would love her. And the other teacher is called Zhen Mei Xin. Actually, it's a she. The teacher Zhen Mei Xin. I have to say her full name because she beat me a lot. Teacher Zhen Mei Xin. But the trainee teacher, perhaps she's still alive now, but she should be in her 90s if she's still alive. She's about 10 years older than us. So if she's still alive, she would be in the 90s. I'm already 81. So it's okay to say her name too. Her last name is Zhang. Her name is Zhang Yugui. But I wrote her to be just Yugui. And this teacher was just so wonderful. One day, she walked in front of me and told me, Lu Shengyan, looking at your face, are you a fortune teller? Because she was reading my face, and she said, you look very smart, but how come your scores are so bad? You always fail in your tests. Okay, let me tell your dad and your mom and the teacher Zhen, I will especially after other students leave the class, you stay in class for half an hour and I will teach you. She was willing to teach me. I was so happy because such a beautiful, pretty lady to teach me. So she sat in front of me. This is my desk, and she sat across and taught me, or she sat to my left and moved the chair to my left and taught me from the textbook. And she truly taught me for half an hour each time, and my tests, my exams became better. She asked me, your face look smart. You look smart in your face, but how come you always failed your tests? And I told her that I cannot concentrate and I think of a lot of other things. What are you thinking about? And at that time, I was thinking, I'm thinking of you. Of course, I did not dare to say that. But she's so attractive, a very attractive lady. She was a trainee teacher and she did teach me. Do you know? There was a sense of touch. There's a sensory awareness. When the chair was next to me, very close, my nose could smell her fragrance. How could I study? And she helped me flip the pages, and I happened to do that too. So my hand touched her hand, and my hand became numb. So there is the touch sensation when you are in contact, and without the touch or contact, you don't feel it. Then there's no awareness of touch. So she taught me until she left the school. She taught me for one semester, and then my scores became better. But after she left, my score returned. You know how outrageous I was? When there was a long holiday, I rode my bike from Kaohsiung at the Xin district in Kaohsiung. I rode to Fengshan, to Jiuchang, to Kuaichu, passing the bridge of Gaoping, Kaohsiung Pingdong. It's called the Xiadan Suixi, which is the lower Suixi River, a long river. And then to Senglili, and it's already dark. I knock on the teacher's door. And the teacher opened the door and saw me and like, oh, Shengyan Lu, how did you get here? And I said, by the bicycle. By the bicycle? It's such a long distance and you're an elementary school student. And yes, I did ride on the bike. So come on in, come. They live in a Japanese dormitory and they had tatami. You know what tatami is? Japanese sleep on the tatami. They were having New Year's Eve dinner. Her parents, younger brother, and her. I was an uninvited guest. But as soon as I got there, she invited me to sit together, and they all were welcoming. And heard that I rode my bike all the way from Kaohsiung there. Quite admirable. How could that possible? But I did it just to take a look at her. See how wild I was, how outrageous. Because I smelled her fragrance, I touched her body, the very fine and delicate hand. And the teacher asked me, why did you ride a bicycle on your own, riding such a great distance to see me? And I almost told her 3 words, 520, which is the modern slang for I love you, but it did not come out from my mouth. And I said, I just want to thank you to help me amend my class. But at that time, it's actually the heart of the little student is to love my teacher. That's even more incredible than Chong Yao, who wrote the novel Outside the Window, which is loving their teacher, which is her own life story, love story. But between me and the teacher Yu Kui, there was only 10 years. That's not that big of a distance, so it should be okay. But I did not dare to say anything. She was the teacher, and in elementary school, we respect our teacher. I was a student. I was even younger than Chong Yao. I matured very early. Such thing happened. You see how crazy what I did? I rode a bicycle from Kaohsiung all the way to Pingtung, and the bicycle was even a ragged-old one, to knock at her door on New Year's Eve and to eat together. That feeling. I don't know if the teacher knew that I was in love with her. I don't know if she felt it. Perhaps she did, or perhaps not. At little elementary school, how could she ride a bicycle all the way from Kaohsiung to Pingtung to find her? And she asked me to stay overnight. The second day, we said goodbye, and I've never seen her again, ever. That love story I will write in my book. In elementary school, I was full of feelings already. My life, reminiscing of the romances of the past. I have feelings toward all of you, all True Buddha School disciples. I have feelings. Like the Zhengming chapter, I remember very clearly. There was like a house with all garbage dumps around it. They set up the chapter there, right? We have feelings towards each other. Every time I give Dharma teachings in the Taiwan Lichang Temple, they always wear the same uniform. And every time I pass by going to and from the Dharma throne, I always see you in your uniform, right? Yes. I saw them when they just arrived here, they shed tears, and I felt the same way, wanted to cry too. I have lots of feelings for my disciples. I live a very emotional life, I guess. So Sakyamuni Buddha said, once you are in contact, then you would have the faculty of touch, or touching nature. And it's very simple, like between myself and the True Buddha School disciples, we have feeling toward each other. When you walk on the street and you see people, you don't have such a strong feeling as toward disciples. But of course, I treat all sentient beings as if they are myself, but True Buddha School disciples are a step closer, different. And I see on the television the war between Russia and Ukraine, and many people died in Ukraine. So I chanted the Buddha's name for them and tried to deliver them. When I see the war between Israel and Palestine, and many people died in Palestine too, I also helped them try to deliver. And I saw earthquake in Afghanistan and many people died. I also helped them chant the Buddhas and try to deliver them. That's also love and affection. That's the sensory or touch or contact, but awareness. But that's not buddhanature, because they're still illusory and false. It's written here, of course, it does not arise from the empty space. That feelings also did not arise from their own heart or mind, because your body, without contact, you don't have any feelings. And when humans are not in contact with each other, there are no feelings. And because you're in contact, then you start to have feelings toward each other. Otherwise, how could it happen? So Sakyamuni Buddha said it does not come from emptiness, also not from the faculty. And because you have the sensory sensation of warm or cold or separation or union or favorable, unfavorable, that's all the same. So that's why we know that the body has no self-nature. It does not arise from emptiness. If emptiness itself has awareness, then what connection would that have with the sense entry of touch? Then the emptiness would know you, but it is unrelated to you. That's why our body is false. It is produced neither by dependent arising or self-arising. I often said our body is comprised from the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and wind. The earth represents the flesh and bones, organs, those things. Water is the water inside your body. Fire is the temperature. Wind is the breath. So a human comprises of these 4 things. And then you add buddhanature into it. That's how it is. How can the body be born? A single deluded thought. Actually, I often say that a human is actually just worms, a bag of worms or germs, microbes. Strange. Sakyamuni Buddha seems to know about science. How could he know that humans are just microbes? But true enough, humans came from the union of a long microbe, which is sperm, and a round microbe, which is an egg. And then gradually they grow to be a human. The storage of microbes, how could he know? Because inside our body, all over our body, is just microbes. There are many microbes inside our body. Good microbes and bad microbes. When the bad microbes are stronger, then you get sick. When the good microbes are stronger, then you're healthy. Everything is a microbe. It's a germ on the head and in your eyes. When the good microbes are more than the bad ones, then you're healthy. Otherwise, you're sick. That's how it is. We're just bugs. So Sakyamuni Buddha had the scientific knowledge. Over 2,600 years ago, he knew already that humans came from bugs or microbes. And asked what a human is, he said, a house of bugs. A human is a house or storage of bugs or microbes. What Sakyamuni Buddha talks about is the aggregate of the 4 elements. He talks about the fourfold mindfulness. One of them is to be mindful that your body is unclean or impure, and that is the fact. Your head, it's boogers in your nose, and the ears, and the eyes, and the phlegms in the mouth, and poop and pee. They're all dirty stuff, dirty person, dirty people. So Sakyamuni Buddha said, be mindful that the body is unclean, impure. Everything that we excrete is dirty, and the skin is also very dirty. Even when you take a bath every day, it's still dirty, especially if you don't bathe. Someone told me. Who told me? Wang Ruoping. Wang Ruoping, a famous singer, song artist, composer from Xinjiang, was also a Buddha school disciple. And the Uyghurs only bathe twice a year. And then he told me, you're wrong. He said that they only bath once when they were born, and they never bathe ever. Or twice in their lifetime, I think, Grandmaster said. That's what Wang Ruoping said. Maybe nowadays they do bathe. I don't know. Do they? That's what Wang Ruoping told me when we met in Singapore. He's a true Buddha school disciple. He took refuge. He's a very famous composer, singer. When the sun sets, will rise again. There's this song, right? And what Sakyamuni Buddha said about hands touching. And there's another song, your tiny cold hand. That's the tactile faculty or sensation. But if you're not in contact, then you would not feel the cold or warmth. If your body is not in contact, then there's no separation or union. It did not come from the empty space. It did not come from the body itself. But when you touch, then you would have the sense of touch, or the touching nature. So that's why the touching nature is also illusory and false. It arises and ceases, but the buddhanature and wondrous, luminous, true mind is without any beginning and end. The body too is illusory and false. So the sense of touch is only appears when you're in contact, and without contact, you will not have a sense of touch.